Tonight what we are going to be talking about is proportions, and proportions will be seen throughout this entire year, but it should be review. Okay, in order to do a proportion, first you need to understand what a ratio is. And a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. We are definitely going to be using numbers, and you use the process of division to create a ratio. So there are three ways that we can write a ratio. For example, to write a ratio for a classroom that is 16 boys and 12 girls. One is a classroom of 16 boys and 12 girls. So how you would write it as a ratio is you'd write 16 boys over 12 girls for the division. Or you could use that colon, so 16 to 12, or you could use the words 16 to 12. All three of these are absolutely fine in the three ways to show a ratio. In general, though, with ratios, we don't give the whole numbers, such as 16 and 12. Instead, we reduce them. So for every 4 boys, because this was boys, you would have 3 girls. So there is 3 girls for every 4 boys, or 4 boys for every 3 girls. What you can do with ratios is you can compare two unlike things. So in the example, Joe earned $40 in 5 hours. That $40, this is the dollar unit, and 5 hours is a different unit entirely. So typically dollars and hours don't go together, but in this case it works. So you can compare two unlike things. When the denominator is 1, this is called a unit rate. So in this above example, we would have $40 for every 5 hours, and if we reduce that, that would be $8 for every 1 hour, which means your hourly or unit rate, because the denominator would be 1. You can also use ratios where you can compare part to part. So this would be the example of the boy to girl ratio that we had talked about in the previous problems. So it would be 16 boys for every 15 girls. So they're both genders, so it's similar, but they're separate parts. You can also compare ratios for part to whole. So for example, 16 boys for every 31 students, because total the boys plus the girls was 31. So it would be the proportion of it is of boys to students as opposed to boys to girls. You can also use percentages with ratios. So if you know that there are 16 boys for every 31 students, what you can do is you can translate that into a percent, such as you just divide it and you would get 51.6. This is the exact same way that you do your percentages on a test. For example, if you got a 13 out of 26, you would know that percentage would be a 50% on the test. Proportions, on the other hand, is a statement that says two ratios are equal, and this is what we will be using all the time. We will use the individual ratios to set up proportions. This, once again, should be review for you guys. So the example 1, in an election, Damon got 3 votes for every 2 votes. So Damon got 3 votes. So for every 3 votes were for Damon for every 2 votes that Shannon got. So 2 votes for Shannon. Damon got 72 votes. So I know this first one is my ratio. I'm going to set it proportionally equal to when Damon got 72 votes. So I'm going to do 72 votes for Damon, and I want to know how many votes did Shannon get. So that would be X votes for Shannon. The key to proportions and using these correctly is you need to make sure that your units on the denominator are the same and the units in the numerator are the same. It does not matter if you flip them, but if you flip the one side, so I put 2 over 3 instead, I would have to put X over 72. All you have to do now is cross multiply, and when you solve, you get 48 votes for Shannon. Tires cost 2 for 75, so we can get 2 tires for every $75. How much would 4 tires cost? So in this case, I know my top or my numerator is 4 tires, and I want to know how much, which is what I'm asking for, is the cost. So we're going to figure out the cost. So I know that 2 tires for every 75 would be proportionally the same as 4 tires for X amount of dollars. So all I have to do is cross multiply. And when I do that and solve, I get that 4 tires cost $150. The last example is 3 cans of soup cost $5. So I know I can get 3 cans for $5. How much will 12 cans cost? I know they will proportionally be the same, so I'm going to know that I want 12 cans. I once again need to make sure that they are on the numerator, if they are on the numerator on the other side in that ratio, and I'm going to put it over X dollars. So when I cross multiply once again, I'm going to be solving for my variable of dollars, and when I solve it, I get $20. All right, hopefully this was entirely a review on proportions, and have a good evening.